Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I want to have a nuanced discussion about our good auntie Monique. So this past week, Monique and D Hughley had an ongoing, it might still be going on at this very moment, an ongoing feud about who was headlining a comedy show. It looked to me like the talent management teams gave both D.L. Hughley and Monique the impression that they both had top billing, right? And it seemed to me, being someone who's not a part of that industry, I know very much about it, but based on what I've read, what I've seen, and what I've heard from people who are a part of the industry, this doesn't seem like it was a personal attack from D.L. Hughley onto Monique, but she still went out on the stage and made some really harsh, comments about him. And let me just stop right now and say, I'm not a fan of D.L. Hughley. I'm, again, one of those people who watched the Kings of Comedy, and he was not my favorite. Even I remember being much younger and watching him on Comic View. I always hated how he made fun of the audience members. It always made me really uncomfortable that, I don't know, I never liked the idea of people paid to come to see you and to support you and you just go in on them. I never really liked that. He's made some not great comments about his infidelity and this baby that he had on his wife, and you guys can look that up on the side. He's not my favorite person. So this isn't in defense of him, but just more so, I think that looking at Monique and her career and how she's handled things, I think it can be a learning lesson for Black women. So again, to dive back into what happened, she wasn't happy about not being the headliner. She didn't want to open for him. She felt like, on the Queens of Comedy, I closed out the show. You, on the Kings of Comedy, opened for ultimately Bernie Mac. And I don't know how much I would care about something like that, but I'm also not an Oscar-winning actress who has, the career that Monique has had. And I can understand, obviously, being a Black woman, you want your things, you want your recognition, and you want your respect 100%. I'm just wondering, at this point in Monique's career, going about things in this manner where you get out on stage and you make accusations about a Black man's sexuality when we all know how detrimental Black men's masculinity is to our community right now. From my perspective, the standard for what makes a Black man masculine is entirely too high. I think people hold them to entirely too high of a standard. You don't really give them the freedom to experience the full range of human emotions, which is incredibly dehumanizing. And I think that Black men get enough dehumanizing treatment from outside of our community that we don't need to unjustifiably do that to them within our community. I really don't like that. I don't like going after. So it shouldn't be a punchline. Someone's sexuality shouldn't be a punchline to say, oh, well, what do DL stand for? I really, really didn't like that. But I also recognize that when Black people, period, but especially when Black women are mistreated, we aren't given the space to rage the way white women are. When white women, rage against the machine, go against the establishment, they're celebrated. They're, feminism and all of the things. When Black women do it, we are fulfilling certain stereotypes that we're angry. And if you've never watched any of my previous videos, I don't really believe in the angry Black woman trope as a thing. I think that anger is a human emotion, and I think that all people are allowed to feel it and to express it as long as it's in a way that isn't harmful to anyone else. I think that when you attack Black women expressing dissatisfaction or demanding respect, and you throw the, oh, you're an angry Black woman thing at them, that is also dehumanizing. Why are we not allowed to be angry just like everyone else? And in many ways, I think that we have more of a right to be angry. I don't want to, do the oppression Olympics here, but So I do want to say that I fully understand not wanting to police how Black women respond to disrespect. But do we want to navigate the world as it is or as it should be? Um, I just don't know that the way that Monique has gone about handling the disrespect that she's endured, because there's no doubt in my mind that when she came out and spoke against or spoke out about Oprah, um, Tyler Perry, why did his name just fall out of my head? Not Will Packer. Jesus, his name just fell out of my head. It will come to me. But the producer who worked on Lee Daniels on Precious, she went on this years long tirade about how she was mistreated, and no holds barred, like really came out and spoke her truth, which I think is important. Just because people are Black does not mean that you should not hold them accountable. She also did the same thing with Netflix, but then she lost me when she wanted Black people to boycott Netflix, and because she wasn't paid a certain amount. And it's like, read the room. What you were paid is still more than what most people make in a year. And to ask people who likely use Netflix because they can't afford cable, me being one of them, I cut my cable because the shit was too expensive. I'm exclusively streaming. And for you to have so much privilege and so much more wealth than the average Black person, and then tell us that we need to inconvenience ourselves to stand up for you, and it felt like she was weaponizing Blackness in this certain kind of way that felt more manipulative than I think it should have been, or than maybe she intended for it to be. And I also don't really love the whole my babies and I love us for real and my babies. It feels very condescending to me. I don't always get the feeling that she's being very authentic in the way that she presents things. I think sometimes people, when they are mistreated, then they suddenly become very aware of their Blackness, and they want to use that as a tool to get Black people on their side. And again, I don't doubt that those people did mistreat Monique. I don't doubt that she has been underpaid and undervalued. I just continue to question, are you going about getting respect in the right way? And maybe it's working. Maybe this is the long con, because she did finally get a public acknowledgement apology from Lee Daniels. I think Tyler Perry might have said something as well. And now she's going to be working with 50 Cent. But I'm curious, is there also going to be a problem on that set as well? And there very well may be legit issues. Like, Black women are often mistreated in a lot of spaces. People don't really look at us in the same feminine way that they look at non-Black women. Even I was having a conversation with someone for a story that I was researching. Even though we can be fetishized and hypersexualized, that's still different from seeing our personhood as women. We don't really get that sensitivity from people. It's people really feel like they can say anything to us, and that we're supposed to be able to just take any kind of treatment and, take it in stride or be the bigger person. I don't really believe in always being the bigger person. I think that that's a concept intended to keep oppressed people oppressed. However, at the same time, nuance. We have to look at things on a case-by-case basis. Is blowing up at people and going on these tirades, is it actually benefiting you? Would you have gotten further in your career had you maybe handled these things differently, if you managed to play the game? And yeah, it's unfair as fuck that we as Black women have to do that we have to do this like Jedi mind trick kind of stuff in order to navigate the world, to be seen as people just like everyone else. Absolutely. But again, that's how the world is, not how it should be. And I'm not willing to die on that hill. And maybe Monique is, but I just think even looking at this most recent situation where she's posting her contract and he's posting his, but no one has produced a contract where everyone signed the same thing. Why take this on stage why a physical, actual stage, and then why take this to the stage of social media where it seems like someone on the management or the booking team dropped the ball? This just doesn't seem like it was something that we needed to be made aware of, so much as when you have a hammer, suddenly everything looks like a nail. And it can be really hard to not lean into a state of victimhood as a Black person, because there's a lot of times where you are being treated like a victim. But when you lean on that for every single thing, you don't recognize the ways in which you might be co-creating some experiences. And both things can be true at the same time, where yes, we are marginalized and oppressed and overlooked and undervalued and underpaid and not acknowledged and all of those things, absolutely. And there are some times where we are working against ourselves to get the things that we need. And I just feel like Monique has done that in some instances. And I, want for her to be paid what she deserves. I want for her to get the respect that she deserves. I don't want her to be blackballed or anything like that. But I do want her to learn a better way forward to manage these situations where it would make other people also want to work with her. And I've been hesitant to really speak out on this because I don't want it to seem that I'm against her or that I'm sympathizing, with the elite or, the powers that be. But I think when we discuss holding Black people accountable for behavior that's not great, it's really tricky because you can understand where people are coming from, but at the same time, like, two things have to be able to be true at the same time. Don't work against yourself. Don't let people turn you into someone. Don't let them turn you into what they're all saying that you are, which is difficult and irrational and what's the word I'm looking for? Unreasonable. You're proving them right. And I don't want to see her continue to do that. I want to see her get to a place where she, Monique is quite talented from what I recall of her content when I engaged with it before. And then there's also this debate of like, who is the bigger star? And yeah, Monique absolutely is an Academy Award winning actress, but D.L. Hughley also has a syndicated radio show as well. So even though these may not be people who we engage with on the daily basis, that is someone who a lot of people do engage with on a daily basis. And again, I really want for Monique to win. And I'm just concerned that the way she continues to go about things is not going to result in that win. And as a Black woman and as Black people, I want us to take note of when it is worth it to blow some shit up, like, to go off, to curse everybody out, to, go Khaleesi final season of Game of Thrones, and when it would actually benefit you more to play the game. It's just something I think that we can think about and something that we can address with more nuance than, oh, she's 100% wrong or she's 100% right. She's justified in some areas, and in some areas she simply isn't. And that's true for all people. So just something to think about. Drop down the comments. Let me know what you guys think respectfully. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of the good things, and become a member of my Patreon if you so feel inclined. Talk soon. Bye.